Chen Xiang took out his 1,000-year blood spirit grass and said, "This is the 1,000-year blood spirit grass." Everyone had long since heard about Chen Xiang owning a 1,000-year blood spirit grass, but now that it was presented in front of everyone, they were still inevitably surprised. After all, this was a world-famous rare herb. Of course, if I only use this for the bet, then maybe the Yao family will look down on me, so I will also add 1/2 of a hell spirit grass. In Chen Xiang's hand appeared half a hell spirit grass. Although 1/2 had been eaten by Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu, the remaining half was still very precious. This time several old men desperately jumped on the stage, while Chen Tianyu and several Chen family elders also went on the stage. After all, the hell spirit grass was a legendary spirit herb. Suddenly the whole field was deadly silent, and everyone could see the black hell spirit grass, but they simply did not believe that, so every one of those old men who knew about the hell spirit grass jumped up to verify it. Even the Yao family elder came up to see the hell spirit grass. "Yes, this is a hell spirit grass," Spirit Dan Hall's lord exclaimed loudly, his voice containing indescribable jealousy and envy, while those pair of old eyes frantically looked at the black half of the hell spirit grass in the hands of Chen Xiang. Authenticated, the field suddenly burst into cries, and everyone was talking about Chen Xiang taking out half of a hell spirit grass and a 1,000-year blood spirit grass as the betting stakes. This bet was very large, and was something that any ordinary family simply could not afford. "What are you going to bet?" Chen Xiang looked at Yao Tianhua and the elder. Yao Tianhua and the elder's complexion were not looking good, and anyone who was proficient in alchemy would know that the hell spirit grass was a profound level spirit herb. Spirit level spirit herbs were already very rare, and profound level was even more so they knew its value. 1,000-year beast Dan, and a 1,000 vein fruit, what do you think? The elder said. Only after the death of a wild beast who had lived for more than 1,000 years would leave behind a Dan which is congealed out from its yuan essence. This Dan is the 1,000-year beast Dan. If this Dan were used in the refinement process, it would provide a large help. The 1,000 vein fruit was also extremely valuable. It was a profound level spirit herb and apparently only grew once every 1,000 years. Furthermore, on the peel of the fruit there were 1,000 veins and was a key ingredient in refining a foundation building Dan. The Yao family's stakes were equally astonishing, which once again surprised the entire crowd. Whoever won would absolutely reap giant profits. "Good, agreed," said Chen Xiang. Regarding the rules, in most alchemy competitions, whoever has the fastest speed in refining the best Dan will win. The quality of the Dan can be judged by everybody present, the Yao family elder said. Chen Xiang did not have any opinions regarding this matter. Chen Tianyu patted his son's shoulders to show his encouragement. Chen Xiang and Yao Tianyu took out their respective alchemy furnaces to let some elders examine to avoid any cheating in the competition. After the examination they all left the high stage and announced the start of the competition. Chen Xiang quickly took out the herbs and placed them inside the alchemy furnace. Yao Tianhua was not able to clearly see what herbs Chen Xiang placed, and in his heart he was somewhat unhappy since he could not tell what Dan Chen Xiang was refining. Nevertheless, Yao Tianhua was still confident about his win because with his status of a Yao family member, he could acquire very high-grade materials. In his opinion, when creating a Dan of the same level, absolutely no one could refine a better quality Dan than him. Looking at the glittering golden light from Yao Tianhua's alchemy furnace, Chen Xiang's heart was burning with jealousy. His poor alchemy furnace was much more inferior and many people assumed that he would lose just by looking at his furnace. Wanting to do alchemy with a furnace like that is simply too much of a joke. It's even inferior when compared with the tripod furnace that we use for cooking soup in our family. One teenager laughed. Others soon burst into laughter after hearing the statement. Only the people with decent alchemy knowledge knew that alchemy was not determined by the furnace, but the individual performing the refinement process. If it was an alchemy grandmaster, even without an alchemy furnace they could perform alchemy and successfully refine dans. While Chen Xiang was refining the baptizing marrow Dan, he was also observing Yao Tianhua as he placed his spirit herbs in the furnace. Just by observing the herbs, he had determined Yao Tianhua was trying to refine a low-grade mortal level Dan called a Spirit Yuan Dan, which provided a boost during cultivation. It could be called the most expensive low-grade mortal level Dan, and its refinement was rather difficult. It was common for many people to refine this Dan in alchemy competitions. It was also a test for alchemists to determine how well they grasped the basics of alchemy. Chen Xiang had already long before practiced refining that Dan. However, the cost of refinement was rather high and was only slightly cheaper compared to the baptizing marrow Dan. Therefore it did not make much sense for Chen Xiang to refine that Dan. Waiting for the outcome was rather tedious. Everyone was either eating, drinking or chatting while watching the two young alchemists on stage. In order to successfully refine the baptizing marrow Dan, Chen Xiang did not pursue speed but was instead cautiously refining. It took almost half an hour for Chen Xiang to completely transform all the spirit herbs into herbal powder which soon filled the alchemy furnace with colorful herbal spirit qi. Now he only had to fuse together the various herbal spirit qis, and then fused together the completed herbal spirit qi with the herbal powder. This was the most crucial and nerve-wracking process, and if it was not done correctly, it would lead to the entire furnace exploding. 2 hours passed in the blink of an eye. Currently, Chen Xiang had a very serious facial expression and was sweating profusely. On the other hand, Yao Tianhua was much more relaxed and could even be described as idle. He occasionally took glances at Chen Xiang. Seeing him in pain was very satisfying for Yao Tianhua. He could easily tell that Chen Xiang was at the most crucial step of refinement, furthermore he might easily make a mistake. Done. 5 Spirit Yuan Dan. Yao Tianhua suddenly shouted. This put everyone into a momentary lapse of confusion. Meanwhile Chen Xiang had yet to finish. Everyone looked at Chen Xiang, and seeing his serious expression assumed he had encountered some problems in the refining process. The Yao family genius really deserves his reputation. Not only did he refine 5 Spirit Yuan Dan in 2 hours, but this is also the best low-grade mortal level Dan. It seems that Chen family brat is going to lose, one person said. I heard that refining a Spirit Yuan Dan is not easy. Is that Chen family brat also refining the exact same Dan? If so, he already lost and is behind in time by a great margin, another person said. Everyone started discussing about Chen Xiang's apparent loss. After all, Chen Xiang had placed very huge betting stakes. Yao Tianhua was also waiting for Chen Xiang to finish. He could barely disguise his pleasure as he was certain Chen Xiang would lose and that he would soon win that 1000-year blood spirit gra along with the hell spirit grass. With these 2 items, he would certainly become famous throughout the entire southern martial empire. Chen Xiang did not make them wait for too long. He took a long and deep breath before saying, well, I'm finally done. Hearing Chen Xiang speak, the crowd quieted down, only to hear Yao Tianhua's ridicule. So what, you still lost? Chen Xiang faintly smiled as he wiped off the sweat on his forehead, saying, I have refined 3 baptizing marrow Dan, please verify it. 3 baptizing marrow Dan. This made the audience transfixed like wooden chickens. This was unbelievable, and everybody suspected they had problems with their hearing. Chen Xiang actually refined a middle-grade mortal level baptizing marrow Dan. That was far more expensive than the Spirit Yuan Dan. It's not possible, he's only 16 years old, it's impossible for him to refine a baptizing marrow Dan. The Spirit Dan Hall's lord, while strangely crying, rushed onto the high stage. Some other elders also flew onto the stage as well as Chen Tianyu who arrived by Chen Xiang's side. Chen Xiang, now is not the time or place for a joke. Yao Tianhua could not believe that Chen Xiang had actually successfully refined a baptizing marrow Dan, and he wasn't alone. The majority of people present also could not believe it. Chen Xiang smiled and indifferently said again, please verify it. The 2 alchemy furnaces were simultaneously opened. Yao Tianhua's alchemy furnace contained 5 azure dans while in Chen Xiang's alchemy furnace there were 3 black dans. Yao Tianhua has refined 5 Spirit Yuan Dan. Meanwhile Chen Xiang has refined 3 baptizing marrow Dan. One of the elders of the Chen family shouted in a very excited voice. The Chen family now had a supreme alchemy genius. As long as they were Chen family members, everyone was obviously going to be extremely excited just like him. Yao Tianhua and the Yao family elder saw those 3 black dans, and just from the aroma originating from the Dan, they confirmed it really was the baptizing marrow Dan. However, the Spirit Dan Hall's lord still picked the up Dan and carefully examined it. This really is the baptizing marrow Dan and is also of such good quality. Honestly, it is difficult for others to admit. One little boy is actually capable of refining this Dan. Spirit Dan Hall's lord exclaimed again and again, his face full of a complex expression, and he suddenly felt that he had wasted his 70-80 years of life. The whole field surged with bursts of cries, and after the confirmation everyone was dumbfounded. They had witnessed the whole alchemy process, and Chen Xiang did not to do anything tricky and was actually able to refine the middle-grade mortal level baptizing marrow Dan. The matter of Chen Xiang having no spiritual veins had long been forgotten, and now in the heart of everyone, he was an alchemist with huge potential. Yao Tianhua's expression was similar to dying embers. The handsome face of his was full of anger, envy and ruthlessness. If possible, he just could not wait to kill Chen Xiang because him losing to Chen Xiang was just insulting. You willingly took the bet. Now it's time to admit defeat, take out your bet. Chen Xiang had a faint smile on his face, but it seemed, through Yao Tianhua's eyes, like he was being contemptuous with a mocking smile, making Yao Tianhua furious inside his heart. The Yao family's elder's entire body was trembling. He was also furious from the loss because not only did their Yao family lose a lot of precious materials, but they also lost their reputation. Their acclaimed Yao family genius was inferior to a Chen family member who did not even have spirit veins. The 1000-year beast Dan looked like an emerald egg, and inside flowed the yuan essence of a 1000-year-old wild beast. The 1000-vein fruit was as big as an apple but very heavy, and holding it in his hands, Chen Xiang could feel the energy contained inside. Chen Xiang was very happy in his heart from obtaining these 2 precious materials. If he could refine these materials into dans, he would be able to elevate his strength very quickly. Chen Xiang, let's compete in martial arts. Yao Tianhua pulled out the double-edged sword from his waist as killing intent emanated from his body. Chen Xiang could defeat a martial artist of the 7th level of the mortal martial realm, so naturally this challenge from Yao Tianhua did not hold any meaning. As such, the Chen family members were all very relieved. Chen Tianyu said with a sigh, "Young man, don't be arrogant, otherwise you are bound to suffer another loss." Chen Tianyu was currently very excited. Not only could his son refine the baptizing marrow dan, but he had also earned 2 very precious alchemy ingredients. If you want to fight, then let's fight, however, if you get injured don't blame me. After all, fists and kicks do not have eyes, Chen Xiang said lazily. By now, the Chen family elder and Chen Tianyu had already retreated to the sidelines. But the Yao family elder was now a bit worried. From many years of experience, he could see that Chen Xiang was definitely out of the ordinary and definitely not the wimpy kid with no spiritual vein like the rumors suggested. Tianhua, how confident are you about victory? The Yao family elder asked in a deep voice. I'm 100% sure I will win. I'm a mortal martial realm martial artist of the 5th level and practice many excellent martial skills. Yao Tianhua glared with anger-stricken eyes at Chen Xiang, he could not wait to kill him. Good, remember you are just simply exchanging pointers. You do not want to take his life, after all, we are inside the Chen family's villa. The Yao family also proceeded to retreat off the high stage. Chen Xiang felt that this situation was somewhat funny. Just a moment ago, everybody thought that he could not refine the baptizing marrow dan and now they were once more making assumptions that he was weak. Since it is a competition you proposed, how about we add a little bet to it? Chen Xiang asked with a smile. Seeing Yao Tianhua not reply, Chen Xiang knew that the Yao family could not afford to bet again. Chen Xiang said with a smile, if you win, how about you get to take back the 1000-year beast dan and the 1000-vein fruit? But if you lose, then our Chen family will get to take the spirit dan hall's lord. He will then become our Chen family's alchemist and we also get to take half of the spirit herbs owned by Spirit Dan Hall, how about it? Spirit Dan Hall was currently the Yao family's property. From this, it was certain that the Yao family had already recruited the Spirit Dan Hall's lord. Since the Spirit Dan Hall's lord had to be at least somewhat knowledgeable in alchemy, Chen Xiang wanted to win over this talented person to the Chen family. No problem, but the Spirit Dan Hall will still belong to our Yao family. The Yao family readily agreed without hesitation. In his opinion, it was just one alchemist and some cheap spirit herbs. The Yao family had no shortage of this, not to mention Yao Tianhua was 100% sure of his win. Spirit Dan Hall's lord could only sigh loudly. He was very unhappy at being treated as a betting stake, but he also felt there was no major problem in joining the Chen family. Perhaps in the future he would have an opportunity to trade and gain the Hell Spirit Grass from Chen Xiang. Come on, take out your weapon, Yao Tianhua coldly said while shaking his double-edged sword that was radiating with a cold and cruel aura. Chen Xiang shook his head in response and replied, I do not use weapons. Then do not blame me for being impolite. Yao Tianhua wielded his sword and with a steady step, stomped on the stage causing it to tremble. From this action of his, one could clearly see his attack was going to be violent and full of power. It was already late into the night, but no one felt the need to sleep, on the contrary, everyone was very energetic, since these two very talented young alchemists were going to compete in martial arts. The general impression of alchemists were that they were not very strong, but this line of thinking was dead wrong. In order to become an alchemist, one should first and foremost be able to control their true qi freely. Their divine sense should be strong enough that they could arbitrarily manipulate their flames to respond to any sudden changes or danger during the refining process. They also needed to occasionally personally acquire rare herbs, which was also very dangerous. Moreover, alchemists had so many dans they could take, so their strength was in no way weak. It was just that most alchemists were protected at all times, so there was usually no need for them to come out and personally fight. Looking at the sharp long sword that was stabbing towards him, Chen Xiang quickly took a step forward and punched out. Azure True Qi suddenly wrapped around his arm as it transformed into a tiger's head. Heavenly Tiger Storm Killing Fist. This child has actually entered into the 6th level of the mortal martial realm, Chen Tianyu shouted with surprise. The Heavenly Tiger Storm Killing Fist was originally a high-grade spirit-level martial skill. It was similar to a ferocious tiger pouncing onto its prey and was filled with the power of a true qi explosion. As long as they were not blind, everyone could see that Chen Xiang had entered into the divine sense stage. He could control true qi externally and congeal it into a solid form by controlling his divine sense. Congealing a tiger's head could only be accomplished by divine sense stage martial artists. 16 years old, and not only could he refine a baptizing marrow dan, but he had also reached the 6th level of the mortal martial realm. This level of talent was an extreme rarity, at most only one in 1,000 years. Only Chen Xiang of the Shui family could possibly hope to compare. There was a rumor that she had fought on par with the Shui family elder. Although it was only a rumor, many people believed it. The elder's strength was over the 6th level of the mortal martial realm. Chen Xiang had fought with this elder numerous times. Chen Xiang was only around 14 years old, yet she was already able to fight on par with an elder. This degree of talent, perhaps only Chen Xiang could hope to match it. Chen Xiang's fists looked like an angry ferocious tiger, and the azure true chi shattered the atmosphere as it continuously emitted explosion that swallowed the long sword. Fist and sword both collided with each other, as a powerful momentum, a wave of true chi surged in every direction. As the azure aura exploded, Chen Xiang's vigorous true chi broke Yao Tianhua's long sword with a sharp sound. Chen Xiang's heavenly tiger storm-killing fist were unstoppable. Violent fists with powerful and steaming true chi smashed into Yao Tianhua, pressuring him until he was unable to move his body, nor was he able to take a breath. Stop! Just then the Yao family elder shouted, but Chen Xiang's fists were like thunderbolts attacking from the sky. Everyone was extremely shocked, even their eyes and mouths were fully open. Accompanied by powerful wind, Yao Tianhua's body flew off the stage, vomiting large amounts of blood as he fainted midair. The Yao family elder as well as several of the Yao family bodyguards quickly flew into the sky and landed near the fallen Yao Tianhua. You actually injured him so heavily, the Yao family elder angrily shouted. He quickly took out a pill and placed it inside Yao Tianhua's mouth. After treating Yao Tianhua, he handed him over to the Yao family bodyguards, then the Yao family elder jumped up onto the high stage. Chen Xiang, just with his fists, broke Yao Tianhua's sword and severely wounded him in the process. This level of strength made others hang their heads in shame. At this time, the other family juniors were very excited, because they realized that the Chen and Yao families were now mortal enemies. Moreover, that Yao family elder was currently preparing to fight Chen Xiang. The Chen family elders and branch commanders were also getting ready to deal with the trouble, but before they could move they were stopped by Chen Tianyu. In a low voice he said to them, "Everyone do not move, we will simply watch this spectacular play." Chen Yihan said with a somewhat unnatural complexion, "This brat defeated me with only a 5th level mortal martial realm strength. Now he has already advanced to the 6th level. That Yao family elder will absolutely not be able to take advantage of him in any way." Although the Yao family elder's strength was in 7th level of the mortal martial realm, for Chen Xiang, who cultivated divine exercises and had a yin and yang divine veins, it would not be difficult for him to defeat the Yao family elder. Someone who was highly talented with huge potential would become the future of their family. Although Chen family was very powerful, they also had many powerful families that were secretly hostile towards them. Now that the other family's juniors had witnessed Chen Xiang's strength, those families with vile intentions against Chen family were bound to restrain their thoughts. Also, the other families would try to get friendly with the Chen family to establish equally beneficial relations. What's wrong? Can the younger generation not beat the elders? Chen Xiang sneered, while his pair of fists occasionally burst out with azure lightning. Everyone present in the field was surprised. Didn't Chen Xiang cultivate flames? How come he was releasing such violent lightning true chi? The Yao family elder was not stupid. He realized that this was not the true extent of Chen Xiang's strength. What surprised him even more was the fact that the Chen family experts didn't even step forward to help Chen Xiang. This made the Yao family elder feel an inexplicable shame, because the Chen family experts believed that Chen Xiang could easily cope with him. In fact, it seemed like they disdained to even step forward to deal with him. Chen Xiang looked at the Yao family elder standing in front of him and said while watching that old face grimaced in anger, "Yao family elder, in the end what did you come here to do? Are you also going to exchange pointers with me?" Exchange pointers. One who had lived dozens of years was going to exchange pointers with a 10 or so year old brat. This was simply going to make him a laughingstock. Whether he wins or not, this matter could only tarnish his reputation. You wounded Tianhua. The Yao family elder really had nothing else to say because he simply jumped up on the stage in spur of the moment. Chen Xiang slowly said in a relaxed tone, "So what, if I did not retaliate? His sword would have pierced my throat. I did not kill him, that is already me being lenient." Anyone could see that Yao Tianhua's sword attack was very ruthless, so Chen Xiang's actions were also natural. Furthermore, they were in a martial competition, getting injured was obviously unavoidable. Only the Yao family elder felt unjustified. He belonged to one dignified Dan aristocratic family, and had a wide network of many strong families who had alliances with the Yao family. But today, the Yao family not only lost their precious herbs but also their face. Moreover, the Yao family prided alchemist also got injured, and all of this was due to Chen Xiang. Ha ha ha. The Yao family elder suddenly looked up and laughed. One little Chen family really dares to overestimate their own capabilities and is going to try to oppose my Yao family. Today I will teach a lesson to a brat who does not even know the immensity of heaven and earth. The Yao family elder was already desperate. In his opinion the Chen family was only a small family. Even if he taught a lesson to Chen Xiang this one time, the Chen family would not dare to say anything. Plus, even if the two families went to war, the Yao family would definitely not lose. Shameless old bastard, it's your Yao family who don't know the immensity of heavens and earth. The Yao family has already lost face because of you today, Chen Xiang said in a loud and clear voice which resounded over the whole field. In their hearts, everyone had already secretly despised the Yao family. They didn't even admit defeat, and now they were also trying to bully the weak. They were relying on their strength and prosperity. Regardless of morality and justice, they were going to attack Chen Xiang. It was simply too ridiculous. The Yao family elder got more angry. With a howl, his whole body was suddenly covered in fiery red true qi. From both of his eyes fire was gushing out, and with just one step he appeared in front of Chen Xiang. Both of the Yao family elders' palms resembled radiant fiery meteors, and the strike rushed towards Chen Xiang. Whilst an invisible wall made of the fiery true qi aura surrounded Chen Xiang. Those pair of hot palms had not yet hit Chen Xiang, but the invisible true aura had already penetrated Chen Xiang's body. Yet he just stood still with calmness and tranquility, similar to a mountain even when faced with the scorching flames. Both his fists were overflowing with true qi, azure light flashing above them. They immediately transformed into tiger heads, and this attack was even bigger than the one that heavily injured Yao Tianhua. Flames were gushing out from the Yao family elder's whole body, appearing ferocious like an angry fiery devil. Vigorous true qi gathered around on his pair of skinny palms. Old man, actually even against me you are resorting to such a heavy hand, then I'm also not going to be polite. Chen Xiang suddenly roared like a mad dragon, while azure qi waves spewed out from inside his mouth. Suddenly, a fierce azure wind started blowing. Within this fierce wind, azure lightning was flashing one after another. At the same time, Chen Xiang like a bolt moved towards the Yao family elder. That pair of tiger heads' fists instantaneously transformed into two solemn and powerful azure dragon heads. The azure dragon roar released a fierce wind containing lightning, and it was very powerful. After seeing this, the Yao family elder could not help but be surprised. At this time he also saw two giant dragons that were roaring and rushing towards him. You brat! The Yao family elder was panic-stricken from watching Chen Xiang's violent true qi rushing towards him. Both of Chen Xiang's fists met with the approaching Yao family elder's fire palms. Punching each other away, the palm and fist fiercely collided. Bang! With thunderous sounds and with various flashing lights due to the blast, qi waves resembled sea waves, as the hurricane-like momentum spread in every direction, instantaneously destroying the high stage and even lifted up some of the nearby dining tables and chairs. Everyone was dumbstruck. Unexpectedly, a 16-year-old teenager was on par with the Yao family elder. Moreover, he even got the upper hand. Everyone could clearly notice the blood overflowing from the corners of the mouth of the Yao family elder. Although Chen Xiang looked embarrassed and could not bear with it, but he was steadily standing there like a mountain, with uniform breath. Unlike the Yao family elder, who was panting. Everyone could see that the Yao family elder probably had consumed a huge amount of true qi to withstand the crazy and fierce attack from Chen Xiang. In the end, what martial skill did you use? The Yao family elder asked with an ugly complexion. If Chen Xiang hadn't cultivated the peerless divine exercise, it would have been impossible for him to endure with just his 6th level of mortal martial realm strength. Chen Xiang didn't answer, but clenched both his fists, and in the next moment, two tiger heads once again appeared above them. Step by step he advanced, and in the blink of an eye, only his fist's shadow was visible, and like numerous ferocious tigers, they bombarded on Yao family elder. After each and every fists, a violent explosion took place, resulting in the ground to continuously shake. After the Yao elder was struck 10 times, his true qi encompassing his body shattered. He had to use his own body to resist the rest of Chen Xiang's storm-like fists. Chen Xiang's fists were not only violent but fierce and ruthless too. Each fist struck on Yao family elder's body, making everyone shudder. They were thinking about what would happen if they were hit by those fists. At this point, everyone present in the field was staring with their mouths wide open, looking at Chen Xiang's oppressive attacks. If they had not personally watched this, it would have been difficult for them to believe that a 16-year-old teenager actually made a Yao family elder a punching bag. This level of strength sent shivers down their spines. Competing with the Yao family members is simply humiliating. Willing to bet but does not concede when they've lost. Get out of here! Chen Xiang shouted while he sent a flying kick towards the body of the Yao family elder, which sent him towards the nearby Yao family bodyguards. The Yao family elder had already fainted due to severe injuries. Several of his bones were broken by Chen Xiang's heavenly tiger storm-killing fists. At this time, everyone suspected that it was some sort of illusion, as they simply couldn't believe that Chen Xiang was capable of seriously injuring the Yao family elder. This time they were convinced. Chen Xiang must have practiced a peerless martial skill, otherwise it would be impossible for him to have this level of strength. Yao Tianhua and the Yao family elder came up on stage, on their legs, but now they were being carried out. Moreover, they asked for it. Today's matter was observed by many people. Even if the Yao family wanted to pursue the Chen family, they could not say anything. After all, it was the Yao family who acted first. Late at night, everyone who was invited to the Chen family banquet departed in full excitement. They were not at all disappointed with the Chen family's banquet. Although everyone left, the banquet still kept on going. This was the Chen family's own banquet. All the broken tables, chairs and spoiled food was now being replaced. The tables were once again filled with delicacies and good wines. The Chen family were celebrating for their new patriarch and cheered for the birth of a new powerful figure, Chen Xiang. This could make the whole Chen family's status elevate. In the morning, sunlight was shining on the chaotic field. On the field, a large number of Chen family members were dead drunk, but Chen Xiang and numerous elders were energetic like dragons and fierce as tigers. After all, they were the main support of the Chen family and they needed to remain vigilant at all times. Chen Xiang and Chen Xiang sent off the Chen family branch commanders. Only after this they let out a sigh of relief. Dad, inside Wohu City only Spirit Dan Hall sells dans. Later on when we buy dans from them, it will definitely be expensive, which is very troublesome for us, Chen Xiang said with a wry smile. Chen Xiang rubbed his temples and said, now are you thinking about this? You ruthlessly humiliated the Yao family and now you want your father to wipe your ass? Chen Xiang stuck out his tongue and then asked, it's not a big problem, right? Chen Xiang coldly replied, rest assured, although the Yao family is a Dan aristocratic family, our Chen family is definitely not a vegetarian, but the issue regarding dans is a bit hard to solve. The vegetarian bit might confuse some, but it basically means they are not scared to spill blood. At this time one sound came. Actually this issue is not at all hard to solve. Under the heavens it is not just the Yao family who sells dans, although Spirit Dan Hall is the Yao family property, but what about other cities? The voice belonged to Spirit Dan Hall Lord. His name was known to only few people, even Chen Xiang was not clear about it. Hall Lord, although I won the bet with Yao Tianhua but you are still free, except that you can't return to Spirit Dan Hall, aside from that you can go anywhere you want, said Chen Xiang. Spirit Dan Hall Lord replied, do not call me Hall Lord, this old man is a well-known figure, I'm called Chen Luzhang. This name came as a surprise to Chen Xiang and Chen Tianyu. To their surprise, Spirit Dan Hall Lord was surnamed Chen. Chen Zhang's grandfather was also called Chen Luhong, so it came as a surprise for Chen Tianyu. Ha ha ha. Do you know why your grandfather and I have so much hatred? Chen Luzhang looked at Chen Xiang and laughingly asked. Because he is my elder brother, simply because I was not able to become patriarch at that time and had some conflict with him, I left the family. After leaving the family, I started to learn alchemy and at last established Spirit Dan Hall. Using it I plan to make amends with your grandfather. Since he has left the Chen family, then I have nothing to come back for. If you want this old man, I'm willing to solve the Dan problem for you. Chen Luzhang turned his head and looked at the Chen family main gate. The expression in his eyes was as if he fondly remembered something. Chen Xiang with a smile said, Granduncle, if you can stay behind it will be definitely good. Otherwise the whole Dan issue will become a heavy burden that will fall on my head. Chen Tianyu also said, Uncle, welcome back to the Chen family. Chen Luzhang only slightly smiled, with sentimental countenance looking at Chen Tianyu. When I left the Chen family you were just a kid back then, I was very young at that time. Now I am too old, you youngsters look after the Chen family. After last night's banquet, Chen Zhang's name had spread to elders of various forces. The Chen family's new position was also being evaluated. The Chen family now had 2 alchemists and they wouldn't need to worry about dans, but at present the only root of the problem was herbs source. For low-level herbs it was not an issue, however high-level herbs were rather expensive and rare. The Yao family held the majority of many high-level herbs. Inside a private room, Chen Xiang, with Bai Yuyu and Su Meiyao, was discussing the situation of the Chen family. He was hoping that before he joined a martial arts sect, the Chen family would become very powerful. This is not a problem, your Chen family is only missing the herbs. You can just go to the nearby city and simply buy some and return. You can first sell that blood spirit grass. Su Meiyao said while playing with the 1000-year beast Dan. Chen Xiang said with some sorrow. That is but 1000-year-old blood spirit grass, it is very rare. Su Meiyao placed back the 1000-year beast Dan in Chen Zhang's hand and laughingly said, don't you have the dragon saliva exercise? So long as you have time, even the 10,000-old blood spirit grass is not a problem. However, blood spirit grass is a low-level spirit herb, and no matter how high its maturity is, its efficiency is far too limited. However, that hell spirit grass is pretty good. Dragon saliva, it could accelerate growth of spirit herbs. If one kind of spirit herb was continuously nourished with it, then you could grow the spirit herb with high maturity. Chen Xiang after thinking this through became restless. He wanted to try something. He wanted to see if he could grow a 10,000-year-old blood spirit grass. Su Meiyao, as if she could see through his thoughts in a tender voice, said, do not try to attempt to mature the blood spirit grass up to 10,000 years, that is simply a waste. When it is used to nourish other high-ranking spirit herbs, it will be more cost-effective. You should know that dragon saliva exercise congeals out the essence of sun and moon, plus the dragon saliva is congealed out only by using your azure dragon true chi. You do not have the liberty to waste it at will. Chen Xiang nodded and said, understood, Sister Yu sister, when will you teach me those devil skills? Bai Yu looked at him coldly out of the corner of her eye, and said, you haven't even completely grasped junior sister's divine exercise of 4 symbols, yet, so don't even think about learning the devil skills. You still have a long way to go. Chen Xiang was currently able to use only a portion of the Azure Dragon Divine Exercise, and the Vermilion Bird Divine Exercise, while the White Tiger Divine Exercise, and the Black Tortoise Divine Exercise, were exceptionally difficult to practice, and also had some special requirements to practice them. Azure Dragon Claw, and Azure Dragon Roar, from the Azure Dragon Divine Exercise, were relatively easy to learn, and Vermilion Bird Profound Fire, and Vermilion Bird Fire Wing, were also the same. Although the divine exercise of 4 symbols consisted of many powerful martial techniques, they required a certain amount of strength to be able to start practicing them, otherwise Qigong deviation would occur. TLN. Qigong deviation is simply imbalance in Qi. Late at night, hidden deep below the ground, inside a private room, a pung sound was being transmitted intermittently. This was caused by Chen Xiang practicing his martial skills. Just looking at his bare chest, one could see incomparably strong muscles that turned to a shade of dark red due to the slightly surging out hot qi, while he was standing steadily in a horse stance and was hitting the iron wall not far away from him. At this time, hot qi waves were bursting out of his fists, combined with an invisible fist strength, and were striking the iron wall, due to which the land shook and trembled. Not bad, within a day's time, you were able to grasp the Fire King Fists, which is a basic attack skill of the Vermilion Bird Divine Exercise. However, it gets more difficult as you advance. You can now rest up. Su Meiyao was also a little bored and tired as she had been sitting there watching as Chen Xiang practiced for the whole day. Chen Xiang looked at that mature and ample bosom of Su Meiyao, and with a smile said, Sister Meiyao, I need to take a shower, would you like to join? Su Meiyao with her gentle and enchanting voice, and eyes full of charm said, I have to call senior sister to join us. I fear you will not be honest at that time. Speaking of Bai Yu, Chen Zhang's complexion suddenly froze. Forget about it. Su Meiyao, while laughing loudly, entered the invisible ring on Chen Zhang's finger. Inside the ring, there was a small room, where all the daily necessities were present. Inside the ring, the 2 girls' lives were also very relaxed. The next day, Chen Xiang woke up and spat out the dragon saliva, present inside his mouth in a small bottle, but he did not immediately go out and pour it on some herbs. He was currently saving and leaving it for the future. Chen Xiang wanted to look for Chen Luzhang to talk about alchemy, but did not expect that Chen Luzhang had already departed to purchase the spirit herbs. Moreover, he also left behind spirit herbs required to refine dans. These were already matured spirit herbs. Chen Xiang was also very happy to use them for refining dans, which could also help increase his alchemical experience. 1 day, 2 days, after 3 days had passed, Chen Xiang finished all the spirit herbs left behind by Chen Luzhang. Because most of these spirit herbs were of the low-grade mortal level, the dans refined were also of same level. At this time the Chen family also had enough dans to cope for some time. These days, many of the Chen family juniors gathered around Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang would often go to martial arts field and exchange pointers with the Chen family youths, and would sometimes also give them advice, which was very helpful for them. Xiang can you attend the King City's martial art tournament and obtain the first place reward of the high-grade spirit level true elemental dan? Chen Tianyu suddenly came to the martial arts field. Chen Xiang, after giving it some thought, said, I want to go to other cities to purchase some spirit herbs. At that time, along the way if it is convenient I will participate. At this time, one of the Chen family children said, Chen Xiang please participate. If we go it will definitely be hopeless, but I heard that in the King City's martial arts tournament many talented people will be participating. Some even have the strength at the 7th level of the mortal martial realm. One girl while nodding also said, I also heard that many people who returned from martial arts sects will also be participating. Chen Xiang heard all the information which can be summarized as such. King City's martial arts tournament was held once every 10 years. The participants must be below the age of 20, and it was conducted by the largest city of Southern Martial Empire, King City. The present area of King City was previously the location of 4 different cities, but as the cities developed more and more people started to settle in, the 4 cities expanded and got well interconnected, which later resulted in them combining to form a single major city. That was King City. King City was also the royal capital of the Southern Martial Empire. The Yao family and the Imperial Palace were also situated there. Many of the formidable families of the Southern Martial Empire were also established there, which led to many experts gathering there. Chen Tianyu also nodded and said, King City's martial arts tournament also has one more purpose, which is to select some excellent practitioners to enter those martial arts sects. You should already know that the whole Southern Martial Empire is affiliated with those martial arts sects. Martial arts families were required to pay taxes each year as a tribute to the imperial palace, while the Southern Martial Empire offered them to martial arts sects. Obviously these martial arts sects were formidable enough to dominate all the major families of the whole kingdom. Do not think that these taxes are handed over in vain. You should know that these martial arts sects are necessary to maintain our safety. Otherwise this place will most likely encounter a group of demon beasts, demons or devils, and will be easily slaughtered. Chen Xiang was looking up at the sky as he said in an imposing tone. All the Chen family juniors suddenly went into an uproar. Previously they thought that these big sects were some kind of legendary existences, but now that they came to know that these legendary sects maintained such close relations with the mortal world, they were surprised. The Southern Martial Empire could be considered to be very big with a population of some dozen hundred millions, but still there weren't many truly powerful martial practitioners, and as for alchemists, they were as rare as finding the feathers of a phoenix and horns of a unicorn. However, with such a huge population, there were bound to be some good martial practitioners, so these martial arts sect would sometimes come here to recruit such practitioners. The fastest and the most effective way to select them was to gather all of these formidable and strong youngsters in a place and make them fight, and the strongest from them all would attain the qualifications to enter these martial arts sects. TLN. Feathers of Phoenix and Horns of Unicorn, Chinese idiom meaning extremely rare. Chen Xiang arrived at the library with Chen Xiang. Along the way Chen Xiang noticed that Chen Xiang must have had something important to say, because Chen Xiang's complexion had been very serious since earlier. Once they were inside the library, Chen Xiang said, "Xiang, your granduncle Chen Luzhang has already gone to King City. Our Chen family in the eyes of many people is considered to be a formidable martial arts aristocratic family, but we are still unable to enter the King City. We cannot be regarded as an unconditionally strong and prosperous family, so our Chen family's next target is King City." Chen Xiang also heard some information, such as the Yao family also had some relations with those martial arts sects, and also that the Yao family doesn't pay taxes to the imperial palace but rather directly offers them to these sects. The Shui family is also migrating to King City now. Because of Shui Shenxian, the Shui family was able to establish themselves due to their relations with a strong martial arts sect, but if we want to strive there and open a path for the Chen family, we can only rely on you and your granduncle. Chen Tianyu's hands were pressing on Chen Zhang's shoulder as he sincerely said. Chen Xiang, while frowning, asked, "What do I need to do? Join a martial arts sect?" Chen Tianyu shook his head and said, "No, even if you are able to join a martial arts sect, the Chen family still will not be able to get the support of those big sects. Now the only way is to get our Chen family noticed by those big sects, and then make them look for us on their own initiative. The only way to do this is to show off your talent in alchemy." Chen Zhang's gaze turned fierce, a bright flash flickered in his eyes, and he was grinning with a smile as he said, "I know what to do. I will pick some things up and then go to King City and meet up with granduncle." Chen Tianyu patted Chen Zhang's shoulder, and with a smile on his face, said, "Xiang, your stage is not here in this mortal world, but rather at those martial arts sects where strong practitioners are as numerous as trees in a forest." After packing up some simple things and slightly changing his appearance, Chen Xiang started his solitary journey towards King City. With his strength, as long as his opponent was not someone above the 8th level of the mortal martial realm, it was difficult for them to pose any threat to him. In the whole Southern Martial Empire there were not many who had reached the 8th level of the mortal martial realm, so Chen Tianyu was assured about his safety. The distance from Wohu City to King City was relatively far, and one needed to travel at least 5 or 6 days to reach their destination. Along the way there was no noticeable danger, unless one was seeking death and tried to enter the mountain forest where demon beasts frequently roamed. "Brat, currently you do not need to rush to enter those martial art sects, the competition inside those sects are very intense. If you do not have absolute strength, you will only further humiliate yourself," Bai Yu said. "Understood, Sister Yu." Chen Xiang felt slightly warm in his heart as it was rare for this ice-cold beauty to care about him. At this time Chen Xiang was already very far away from Wohu City and had already arrived in the wilderness. This was the first time he'd been so far away from Wohu City. His heart was somewhat excited but also vigilant. In the evening as the whole sky turned dark, Chen Xiang stopped at a nearby forest. While walking on the dirt road, Chen Xiang suddenly noticed some movements behind him. "Damn, this father is already being followed. Moreover there are several of them," Chen Xiang cursed in his mind while increasing his guard. He operated his true qi and gathered it at his feet so that he could quickly dodge or attack at any time. "Do not panic, let them come out. If you cannot defeat them then just flee. With the help of the vermilion bird fire wing, you can easily escape," Su Meiyao transmitted to Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang replied with the help of his divine sense, "I'm not panicking, I'm just in a bad mood. Have they been stalking me for a long time? Have they been following me from Wohu City? Really useless, you were being followed since the beginning, Bai Yu said with contempt, which elevated the bad mood of Chen Xiang more. Chen Xiang turned around and in a cold voice said, how long are you going to follow me? All of you, get your fucking asses out here. Just shortly after he shouted, Shua Shua Shua, 5 masked black-robed men appeared in front of him. He remembered that not long ago he had helped the Shui family children cope with some black-robed killers, but he had not expected that he would also encounter them. These 5 black-robed men really had been following Chen Xiang from Wohu City. It's just that Chen Xiang had been very vigilant since the beginning, which made it harder for them to sneak attack him. Now that they had been discovered by Chen Xiang, their only choice was to come out and fight. Only the eyes of the black-robed men were visible, the expressions in their eyes were very dull. One could clearly see that they were certainly experienced in this line of business. As soon as they appeared, each one took out a 2-edged pitch-black broadsword from their storage pouch. As they poured the true qi, they raised their swords and at the same time leapt towards Chen Xiang. The 5 killers' actions were although simple but at the same time were also quick and ruthless. In the moment they leapt, 2 flames flickered in Chen Xiang's eyes. Hot qi soared from his whole body, as vermilion bird true qi suddenly poured into his arms. His right hand burst out with a fiery aura and a long fire whip congealed from vermilion bird true qi appeared in his hand. It quickly swooped towards those 5 black-robed men. As it brushed past the 5 of them, their robes were instantly ignited. The 5 black-robed men had to give up attacking Chen Xiang and retreated to one side. The flames compared to before were much more formidable now. They were not able to withstand the flames and some even had to discard their burning robes. Chen Xiang exposed a sneer on his face. The fire whip in his hands mercilessly whipped towards a black-robed man's head. An explosion followed just after the fire whip struck the black-robed man, which was then followed by a burst of fire aura which instantly incinerated the black-robed man into ash. The vermilion bird flames were no ordinary flames, they were cultivated from the divine exercise and was thus unmatched in power. These 5 black-robed men's strengths were merely at the 5th level of the mortal martial realm, and with only this much strength, trying to assassinate Chen Xiang was just wishful thinking. Chen Xiang again started waving the fire whip. In the blink of an eye he had already whipped 3 black-robed men and killed them. These black-robed men in front of the fire whip were like butter being in front of a hot knife. Their bodies were easily cut down in half with just a sweep of the fire whip. Only with the help of a powerful divine sense was it possible to congeal true qi into a strong weapon. Sister Yu, do you have a way to make this guy talk? Chen Xiang caught the remaining black-robed man, but he refused to say anything. Bai Yu coldly smiled. You asked the right person, just follow my instructions. First, with one hand hold down his head, then congeal out your divine sense. Operate your divine sense exactly as I tell you. First divide your divine sense in 6 parts and then pour it into his head from these 6 different locations. Chen Xiang complied immediately. This method was easy to understand and its results were also very quick. The black-robed man's eyes became noticeably sluggish and lost its luster. He also did not make any effort to struggle like before. You can now ask him, Bai Yu said. Chen Xiang praised this mysterious odd skill of Bai Yu, then to the black-robed man asked, who sent you to kill me? Yao family 7th elder. The voice of the black-robed man was stiff and was without any trace of emotion. A trace of ruthlessness flashed in the eyes of Chen Xiang. He had not thought it would turn out to be the Yao family who sent them. He continued and asked, where is he now? On his way to King City, that black-robed man replied. Chen Xiang lifted up the black-robed man by his robes and asked, did you also try to assassinate those family juniors? Yes. The black-robed man replied. Chen Xiang's countenance was solemn as well as surprised. This matter turned out to be related to the Yao family. Why would the Yao family try to assassinate those families' children attending the banquet? Chen Xiang once again asked. I do not know, black-robed man replied. Chen Xiang asked a few other questions. When he could not get anything out of the black-robed man, he killed him and incinerated his body. The sky was completely dark, various stars were shining in the sky and suddenly a vibrant red light soared across the sky. It looked similar to an ordinary meteor, but a meteor does not travel horizontally. That light was Chen Xiang. After releasing his vermilion bird fire wing, he immediately rushed through the night to chase the Yao family's 7th elder. It was exactly the Yao elder who was previously wounded by him. Releasing true qi, he transformed it into wings. Not only did he consume a large amount of his divine sense, but he also simultaneously consumed a lot of true qi. But since Chen Xiang practiced the 5 elements true qi, only the fire-attributed vermilion bird true qi was consumed, while the azure dragon true qi within his body was in surplus. It should be known that martial skills capable of transforming true qi into wings were not many. This type of martial skills were extremely rigorous because true qi is needed to be emitted from the back, which required an accurate control of divine sense to transform it into wings. This would make them look similar to the wings of a bird. The slightest mistake and the user would fall down, which was very dangerous. These kind of martial skills were regarded as treasures by the martial artists. Chen Xiang learned from Bai Yuyu and Su Meiyao that even in those martial arts sects, such skills were extremely rare. So at the time of casting this skill, Chen Xiang was especially careful, as he wanted to catch up with Yao family elder convoy without delay. If others could try to kill him, why could he not do the same? Chen Xiang would absolutely not leave anyone alive after they tried to kill him. Moreover, he could not pass on such a good opportunity to weaken the Yao family. That's right, on the road of martial arts, one should kill decisively. Otherwise, if grievances are accumulated in the heart, it will easily lead to qigong deviation. By any means, you should catch up to that fellow and behead him. Bai Yuyu's words were filled with slaughter qi. Chen Xiang was still flying. This allowed him to feel wonderful in every way. Since childhood, he had always wanted the ability to fly, and now he had it. This was all thanks to the two peerless beauties inside his ring. Sister Yuyu, how did you become Sister Meiyao's senior sister? It's difficult to imagine what kind of person your master is. Chen Xiang sighed from the bottom of his heart. If the apprentices were already this formidable, then just how powerful was their teacher? TLN. Senior sister as in senior's sister apprentice. Our teacher did not have a name. Regarding his origins, even we are not clear. Perhaps when you advance to that stage you might even be able to meet him, Bai Yu said. Chen Xiang was very curious about these two enigmatic girls, but at the same time, he was also very helpless since they were reluctant to disclose the information he wanted to know. Chen Xiang flew the entire night. Furthermore, he chose to fly on the outskirts of the wilderness. After the third night, he could see a carriage in the distance which was slowly moving forward on an avenue. This avenue led to King City since these types of roads were only built near King City. Chen Xiang stared at that avenue in the distance. He was vaguely able to see large houses and the King City which was not too far away from him. Once the Yao family members set foot in King City, Chen Xiang would not have the opportunity to enact his revenge. That carriage had 2 coachmen and 2 horse-riding bodyguards. The strongest among them was the Yao family elder, and after him was Yao Tianhua. However, both had been wounded by Chen Xiang, and the strongest out of the 2 coachmen and the bodyguards were only at the 5th level of the mortal martial realm. When they came to Wohu City, there had been many people with them, but now only 1 carriage is left, Chen Xiang muttered as he flew to the front. They should have been hiding killers in the caravan. They must have first sent some people back to the Yao family as messengers, and some of them should have remained in Wohu City to guard the Spirit Dan Hall. As such, only these people are left, Chen Xiang guessed. He stopped at the edge of the avenue which was situated near a forest. After resting for a little bit, he put on a black robe and hood. After all, he was going to kill important members of the Yao family. If they came to know the identity of the killer, a war would break out between the Yao and the Chen families. Although the night was dark, a gentle silver-white moonlight shone upon the land. This gentle pale aura allowed people not to be engulfed in utter darkness. Chen Xiang, who was hiding on a tree near the roadside, held his breath and waited for the carriage to arrive. The sound of the carriage was accompanied by the insects chirping at night. Chen Xiang's heart was as calm and tranquil as water, but on the contrary, his eyes shone with killing intent, staring at the avenue under the tree. It had arrived. Just as the carriage was passing by, Chen Xiang's body sprung like a silent arrow that was released from a bow. At the same time, he congealed out a golden long whip in his hand. Slaughter chi was emitted by the long whip, accompanied by a violent aura. The whip was congealed from the metal attributed true chi. This metal attribute corresponded to the white tiger. The white tiger divine exercise signified slaughter and ruthlessness. To further its progress, one should indulge in endless killing and comprehend the way of slaughtering. While Chen Xiang leapt towards the carriage, he ruthlessly swung the whip downwards, striking right at the middle of the carriage. With a weapon similar to a 2-edged long knife chopping down, the luxurious carriage was splitted into 2 with a crackling sound. 2 people simultaneously jumped out. One of them was the Yao family elder, and the other was Yao Tianhua. Which gang of bandits do you belong to? We are the Yao families. The Yao family elder had not even finished with his sentence before Chen Xiang swung his whip like lightning 4 more times, hitting the 2 coachmen and the 2 bodyguards as they were just about to draw their blades and jump off their horses. The long golden whip, which contained valiant metal attributed true chi accompanied by slaughter chi, simultaneously struck their upper body. Similar to striking tofu, the 4 people became separate pieces of flesh and blood. This type of brutal true chi had not only made the Yao family elder and Yao Tianhua panic-stricken, even Chen Xiang could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. You are Chen Xiang. When the Yao family elder saw Chen Xiang, he suddenly shouted. However, Chen Xiang's whip had already ruthlessly struck down on his body. The Yao family elder was worthy of being a 7th level of mortal martial realm martial artist. Although he was seriously injured, he was still able to gather true chi in his body and catch the whip laden with white tiger slaughtering true chi. You really are Chen Xiang. the Yao family elder said in a high-pitched voice. The expression in his eyes could not conceal his fear. He had not thought Chen Xiang would actually dare to come and try to kill them so brutally. Chen Xiang remained silent. In his left hand, fire aura flashed while another fire whip was also congealed, and then he opened his mouth and roared, using wood attribute true qi. The azure dragon roar wreaked havoc on the Yao family elder. At this time, Chen Xiang's vermilion bird true qi whip lashed accurately above the Yao family elder's neck, breaking his head into pieces. Nearby, Yao Tianhua was already frightened by Chen Xiang. Not only could he cast the purest alchemy flame, but he could also use the metal attribute slaughtering true qi, and at the same time, he could even release wood attribute true qi. This was displaying 3 types of attributes at the same time. To Yao Tianhua's knowledge, this sort of feat had never been heard of. Chen Xiang moved towards Yao Tianhua, his eyes flashing with killing intent. He swung the golden long whip in his hand and it lashed towards Yao Tianhua's neck, and in that instant, Yao Tianhua emitted a panic-stricken cry as his eyes were filled with horror. As the long whip struck his neck, his head immediately fell down. With a frozen and frightened countenance, Yao Tianhua had died filled with both disbelief and resentment. He had never expected that as the Yao family genius, his death would actually happen in such a way. Chen Xiang inhaled a mouthful of air and faintly said, "Originally, at the time when you tried to stab me with your sword, I already wanted to kill you." After killing the 2 of them, Chen Xiang removed their storage pouches. They contained some spirit coins and herbs. It still could be considered as a substantial income. In order to not leave any traces, Chen Xiang tidied up the scene with great difficulty. If one was to arrive where the carriage had been, no one would be able to notice that a one-sided massacre had taken place here. Chen Xiang walked on the avenue towards the tall and prosperous city. King City was vast and was surrounded by thick walls. Chen Xiang looked at the endless wall and the moat outside of the city. Many people were going in and out of the enormous city gate, and many soldiers stood on the city wall and next to the gate. The lively streets were covered with smooth bricks and were full of pedestrians. Such a scene was clearly visible through the gate. Chen Xiang finally arrived inside of King City. He curiously looked around. Before, he had thought that Wohu City was quite big and lively, but now, he discovered that he was a frog in a well. He did not know just how vast King City was, but he knew that it was many times larger than Wohu City. After entering the city, Chen Xiang saw many people were gathering in front of a very long wall. He went over and found that a lot information was put up on that wall. They were either giving some directions or some kind of other informations. On top of everything, there was also a map of the entire city indicating some inns, well-known stores, imperial palace, and marital family addresses. The map itself was very detailed. Chen Xiang soon found where the Yao family was on the map. It was located not far away from the imperial palace. He also saw where the Shui family was on the map. Currently, the Shui family was still in the process of moving to King City. Another thing that had caught Chen Xiang's attention was that there was information regarding the buying and selling of items, looking for missing persons or items, and recruitment offers for various jobs. This was to help people who were new to King City. Chen Xiang swept through the myriad of information. To his surprise, a recruitment poster was posted by his granduncle. Recruiting alchemist, location is, posted by Chen Luzhong. Chen Xiang remembered the location posted and then looked at the map to find it. Granduncle moves really fast. He just arrived at King City and has already found a good store. Chen Xiang could see from the map that the location of the store was quite good. It was situated at the corner of a crossroad and moreover it was a 3-story building. After memorizing the route, Chen Xiang left immediately. He soon arrived at his destination, but the store was closed and its doors were heavily damaged. There were many slashes with other markings on it. Chen Xiang tightly frowned and knocked on the door. "Who?" A very angry voice came from inside. "Granduncle, it's me," Chen Xiang replied in a low voice. At this point he had already guessed the crux of the matter. As the door opened, Chen Xiang saw Chen Luzhong's old face filled with anger. At this time, Chen Xiang clearly saw that the inside of the shop was actually a mess. Broken chairs, and walls cluttered with blade slashes. After seeing all of this, Chen Xiang suddenly clenched his fists as they made brittle sounds. His eyes were filled with anger. "Who did this?" Chen Xiang gloomily asked. He swore in his heart that he would make that person pay 10 times for what they had done. "Come inside, then we will talk," said Chen Luzhong. After Chen Xiang went inside, they went to 3rd floor. On the way up, he could see the extent of the damage done. The walls, floors and roof were all heavily damaged. It was needless to mention the chairs and tables. The more Chen Xiang looked, the more furious he got, but his facial expression was still tranquil. This made Chen Luzhong slightly surprised. On the 3rd floor, Chen Xiang and Chen Luzhong were sitting on the floor. "The backyard is still good. I had invited 2 assistants to the shop but they have been injured. I just went to deliver some dans and spirit coins to them." Chen Luzhong sighed. "This store was bought by me a long time ago. However, when I went out this morning some people rushed in. Then it became like this." "Who did it?" I will immediately make them pay. Chen Xiang was filled with killing intent. He had already killed the Yao family elder and genius, who wouldn't he dare to kill? I also want to go and teach a lesson to that fellow, but they're one of the shopkeepers of the alchemy force. If we offend them, later on it will be difficult for us to sell dans. Chen Xiang said in a cold voice, Granduncle, you don't need to worry, our Chen family has just entered King City. If we are bullied in front of our gate and yet yield to them, then in the future how will our Chen family be able to settle here? I also understand this. However, the alchemy forces behind the shopkeeper wants to obtain this store, but I refused. Just after I posted the recruitment notice, he made his move. He wants to make me to retreat in the face of these difficulties. Chen Xiang while curling his lips said, Granduncle, you are an alchemist and surprisingly you are being oppressed by a mere shopkeeper. Chen Luzhang smilingly said, I'm taking into consideration of the overall situation. Our Chen family has already offended the Yao family. In King City beside the Yao family there was one more alchemy force and that was the Danxiang Herbal Manor. In King City and several other cities they had many branch stores. Moreover they had always kept a low profile, but now they had actually made such a move. TLN. Danxiang, Dan equals pill aroma or fragrance. Danxiang Herbal Manor? I'll go and find that shopkeeper. Which one of the 5 Danxiang Herbal Manors inside the King City does he have a shop? Chen Xiang stood up while brushing the dust off his bottom. From his facial expression, anyone could clearly guess that he was not planning to give up. Chen Luzhang knew that today there was no other method to deal with this situation. He was also aware of his nephew's strength and arrogance. South side. Remember not to murder anyone. In King City murdering anyone is not a good fruit to eat. I will also go with you. TLN. Does not have a good result. Chen Xiang nodded his head, then with Chen Luzhang left the store. Granduncle, what is your current level? While being with Chen Luzhang, Chen Xiang could only sense fire qi and was unable to sense vigorous levels of true qi from Chen Luzhang. Hey, I'm not a vegetarian, but my strength still cannot be compared to your grandfather. Chen Luzhang only gave a vague answer to Chen Xiang. Little guy, King City has people that can be described as crouching tigers and hidden dragons asterisk, so I dare not to arbitrarily act. TLN equals hidden experts. Chen Xiang nodded and said, I understand, listening to what Granduncle has said, you should be very formidable, unexpectedly you are still willing to admit defeat. Chen Luzhang while smiling said, later on, you will know sometimes it is even harder to eat a shriveled fruit. As of now no one knows the exact strength of this poor old guy, if someone provokes me, hey. Chen Luzhang's laugh was extremely sinister, even Chen Xiang could not help but shiver. If you hid your strength, you could give your enemy a very nasty surprise. This was actually a very sinister move. Soon, Chen Xiang and Chen Luzhang came inside a manor surrounded by high walls. This was the southern Danxiang Herbal Manor. They entered a large 2-story building. Inside they came to a place where dans were primarily sold. Brat, do not take things too far, Chen Luzhang said complainingly. Chen Xiang nodded his head and then shouted, shopkeeper, quickly roll out. Chen Xiang poured vigorous true qi into his voice turning it into a roar. The whole building shook slightly due to the roar. Everyone present inside was shocked. It was a surprise to them that someone came here to cause trouble. Moreover it was just a teenager. The Danxiang Herbal Manor's business was generally good, but due to Chen Xiang's roar, everyone immediately went out and started watching the situation. Chen Xiang's roar disturbed all of the Danxiang Herbal Manor's personnel. A ton of bodyguards immediately rushed to the scene and surrounded Chen Xiang. These bodyguards were only at the 4th or 5th level of the mortal martial realm. Chen Xiang could judge their strength from the slight true qi emanating from their body. There were not many like Chen Xiang, who was already at the 6th level of the mortal martial realm strength at a relatively younger age. Therefore, Chen Xiang, compared to these bodyguards, was relatively strong. Chen Xiang looked around. There wasn't any trace of Chen Luzhang. Just a moment ago, Chen Luzhang blended into the crowd and had already arrived outside. It seemed that Chen Luzhang did not wish to make an appearance in this matter. Do you even know what this place is? You dare to rush here and make trouble? At last, one 30 years old or so handsome man came forward. He was wearing white luxurious clothes and an exquisite jade belt was hanging on his waist. With just one glance, everybody could guess his noble status.